This is me.
This morning, Yahweh's in the house. All right, we are so glad. Beautiful, beautiful. So, each one of our journeys is very different. We're all on a journey from the womb to the tomb, and every one of our journeys are different. It may be, my struggles and my challenges and my opportunities may be similar to yours or not. But they're never the same, no matter what. Our lives are different. And so one of the things that we can do to bless each other is to share our journey and to share what our story and what our life has been like. And so this summer, I'm asking some very special people from this congregation to come forward and share their story. So particularly on the Sundays when Bishop Pearson is not speaking. He'll be speaking twice a month. But on those other Sundays, I'm inviting former members of the New Dimensions and Higher Dimensions community to come and speak to us here at All Souls about their journey. Because many of us have seen the movie Come Sunday, about the Hollywood version. Yeah, let's hear it for Come Sunday. Great movie. And so we've heard the Hollywood version of Bishop Carlton Pearson's story and the story of Higher Dimensions and New Dimensions. And now I want to hear the real story, not just his story, but of those who followed him out of hell, or at least out of a belief in hell, which is itself a kind of hell. And so I wanted to hear their stories, and so I want you to hear their stories. And so today we kick this off with a person who is so special and so beloved to this congregation. I think one of the most interesting things about the movie Come Sunday, I think it's the first time in Hollywood where they couldn't find actors that are as beautiful as the real people who live it. How about that? I mean, I'm serious. But there was a Nikki character in the film, and it was a kind of a compilation of Nicole, who was Bishop Pearson's assistant, and Tennille Bent, who was also his assistant for a while. But her name was Nikki, and you got to see the Hollywood version. But today you're going to get to hear the real Nicole and the real Nikki, whose version is beautiful. So, one of the reasons that we can do this, I just want to explain this one little piece, in part because it got me into trouble last summer. And that is that at All Souls, we don't preach doctrine and we don't preach dogma. We trust that the people in the pews have their own minds and their own lives and are on their own journeys. And the people in the pulpit, whether it's a minister or a guest, has their story and their journey that's been shaped and formed and forged through the fire of their own experience and their own life. And so we give people the freedom when they get into this pulpit to speak their truth as they see it, which means it's not necessarily the truth on behalf of the church. It's the truth of that person. So what we call it here is we have a free pulpit. I like to think, and I think it may be absolutely true, that this is the freest 3-foot square in the entire United States of America. Because we want to let people speak their truth, unvarnished. And so that's what we do. And sometimes it gets us into trouble because not everybody understands it's a free pulpit, but it's also, that means it's a free pew. That means that what you hear from us up here isn't something that you necessarily have to believe. You have the freedom to take it, believe it, or disagree at your own rate. And what that allows us to do is to hear a full and wide diversity of opinion and conflict and all of that. So when somebody speaks from this pulpit, it's not what they say that is a reflection of All Souls. It's the fact that they can say it freely in this church that is a reflection of All Souls. And so we welcome Nicole Ogundare today. She's going to speak to us in just a little bit later, but it allows us to have the full, beautiful truth as it is seen and shaped through the lives of the people who we trust to come and speak to us. So we get to see the true colors, the real colors of people. And so this next song, which Yahweh is about to sing, has these words: I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. Your true colors are beautiful.
I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show me your true colors, your true colors. You with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged, oh I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you makes you feel so small. I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show me your true colors, your true colors.
Show me your smile then. Don't be unhappy, can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, just call me up, because you know I'm there.
I see your true colors shining through. I see your true.
If I were at my home church about to preach or teach, I would pray like the preachers did from Psalms 19 and 14. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Speak through these lips of clay that you might be magnified. Today, I'd also like to recite the opening of my Tibetan Buddhist root prayer as I hold space of unconditional love for everyone who will hear my voice, listen to my words, and feel my spirit. I pray for your blessing, great and completely worthy spiritual friend. I pray that you will cause love, compassion, and perfect charity to arise in my mind. Journey with me as I deliver the message entitled, The Evolution of a Family. See, truth is, my life has been transforming for years. It's impossible to encapsulate the experiences in the time I have today. The tapestry that is my life is beautifully complex, bright, sincere, sometimes dark, but never hopeless. In 1984, 8 weeks after I turned 16, my mother died of cancer 1 month short of her 38th birthday, leaving behind 10 children. That altered my life forever. We moved from Chicago to live with my aunt in Tucson, Arizona, and in August of 1988, at the age of 20, with my 2-year-old daughter, Denise, I moved to Tulsa to attend ORU, where I completed 2 years. I remember after registration, a stranger asked if I was going to Higher Dimensions. I hadn't heard of Carlton Pearson, but I said yes. That Sunday, I went, I fell in love with the church, and I've been with Bishop ever since. Under the direction of Pastor David B. Smith, I joined the choir in 1997. Because Bishop was so insulated at that time, we wouldn't establish a personal connection for another year or so. I didn't immediately hear a difference in his theology because I always knew him to be a bridge builder. I remember saying to my sister friend, I'm going to work here administratively. I don't know how or when, but I can feel it, and you'll be my witness. I see she's here today. A few years later, I became his executive assistant. In the summer of 2008, New Dimensions was using a space at All Souls for our service. And at the end of the summer, Bishop decided that we were at the end of our road. I understood later that he had called Marlin while on a staff retreat, then told him about his decision. Bishop broke the news to us afterwards. I remember feeling panicked because David and I had been focused on looking for spaces to move to and had absolutely no intention of staying here. In fact, we said if he moved to a cardboard box, we were moving with him. Bishop encouraged us to fold into All Souls, to join, and to make it our church home. I did not know what to expect or even what that meant, but I followed his leadership because I loved and respected him deeply. Everything happened so incredibly fast. Bishop had a couple of conversations with me about working at All Souls. Shortly thereafter, Kathy Keith invited David Smith and I to join the staff. What would come next was incomprehensible. We had already lost our church and started over as New Dimensions. Over the next 7 months, Bishop moved to Chicago. David and I were in Florida with our beloved assistant minister, Pastor Jesse Williams, who died, and less than 3 months later, my children's father was deported back to Nigeria for 10 years and not eligible to return until 2019. My children had never been without their father, and it proved to be a crushing blow. This was my and our first introduction to immigration bureaucracy and injustice. Although I was committed to All Souls, the congregants and the board said yes to us being here, the honeymoon was fading fast. As a Black woman, a staff member, and a congregant, I felt the pain and the loss of former New Dimensions members and was often the point person that they would consult. We were mourning the loss of our church for the second time now, Pastor Jesse and Bishop's absence, and now we were confused and hurt by the treatment of some of the members. We lost members on both sides. While I knew some New Deers were uncomfortable with the LGBTQ and reproductive rights. Even though I believe our coming together was the best thing that ever could have happened to us, I still sometimes feel the guilt that we changed the church. This combination of events sent me into what I clearly recognize now as a 4-year depression that sent me working into overdrive via denial, trying to convince myself that I was okay. When I recognized what I was doing, I crashed, and I crashed hard. But I also started the path towards facing my pain, which continues to this day, depending on what and who triggers me. Because I'm committed to inclusion, diversity, and staying at the table, I'm able to sit with my discomfort and welcome hard conversations that produce real results. I'm only successful because I want to live a life that reflects love. I'm doing the hard work, and I have learned the value of listening to others without judgment. Before I embraced the liberty that I have today, here is what I believed, according to Romans 12:19. Dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord. Now, although I was okay with God delivering vengeance to those who hurt or offended me, I was never fixated on casting people into hell as much as I was trying to keep myself out of it. I was preoccupied with my own fear-ridden assumptions while questioning my own likelihood of going to hell. After all, there were some absolute deal breakers I knew I was violating. I liked to dance. I drank the water Jesus turned into wine. I absolutely did not like passing out tracts. I did not like proselytizing or leading people to Christ. I frequently said to myself, I know I'm probably going to hell. And this is really the sentiments of my heart. This created an unhealthy ritual of repenting daily and weekly, standing in prayer lines to be forgiven of my sins, waiting for the next and greatest prophecy to come forward to confirm that God approved of me. Don't get me wrong. My experiences were pure, they were sincere, and they were valid for that time. Over time, I became aware that what I was doing it just in case something happened to me. I wanted to make sure I would be covered. It almost felt like God insurance. I began to reconcile that my shift was happening because I always had a vision of inclusion through the lenses of my own eyes. And I was now in an environment that allowed me the space to question my doubt and to hear differently. A scripture that haunted me was Ezekiel 33:8. When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, thou shalt surely die. If thou dost not speak to warn the wicked from his way, the wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I will require at thine hand. I believed that if I did not do the very things I detested, I would be punished by God. My first serious conversation with myself regarding sending others to hell was in 1998 when I met my friend Luis, who happens to be a gay man. I was a department manager at Old Navy, and he was my assistant. We bonded instantly, and I knew that we would be friends for life. I met his family, he met mine, and everyone in my family absolutely loves him. One day, I asked myself a few uneducated questions. Would I let Luis babysit my then 4-year-old son, Jojo? Would I let him even pick him up or touch him? Because the only thing I had ever heard about anyone being gay was always male-oriented and sexualized. My answer was instantly yes. I would let Luis be alone with Jojo, and I would let him hold him and babysit, absolutely with no reservation. The next question was, would I send Luis to hell? And emphatically, I said no. I became angry and grieved at the thought of it. And from that point, I began to quietly dissect what hell meant to me. So you might be wondering, what keeps me on this path today? I have a lot of reasons, but for one, I am free. I'm free. Does that mean that I've abandoned every form of ritual or belief? Absolutely not. I'm simply making, managing, and mastering the release of religious guilt, shame, and judgment, mostly of myself. I've also expanded my truth and spirituality, and I've even started an everyday spiritual practices class right here at All Souls where people from all 3 services attend. Another reason why I stay on this path is my children, Denise and Angel, Jojo, Nicholas, and my precious 9-month-old granddaughter, Ari. I can have intelligent conversations about religion and the world in which we live. I have always raised them to be thoughtful, productive people who love everyone. Another reason that I stay on this path is because people are hurting. They are looking for ways to connect, to be affirmed and loved. I personally want to be affiliated with people that denounces fear, hate, isolation, and intimidation. We make so many assumptions as if we know how people feel, and yet no one knew the level of hopelessness Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain, and countless others feel. So if you or someone you know is depressed or shows signs of a dramatic shift in behavior, please don't turn a blind eye. Investigate. It just might save a life. Another reason why I am on this path and will continue on this path is that I want relationship over religion. I will not allow or tolerate beliefs and doctrines that stop me from befriending others, period. I'm on this path because I've also learned that social and criminal justice, science and nature, spirituality, God, and yes, even Jesus or the absence of him, gay, straight, trans, or being differently abled are all part of the fabric of church life just as much as it is a representation of the world in which we live. The word evolve is so powerful. It actually has the word love spelled backwards in it. So my charge to you is to take a risk to evolve. When you evolve, love is always present. Today, I encourage you to notice someone and just give them a smile. Say hello to a stranger. Do something that you've put off for far too long. Call that person that you say you won't forgive, but in your heart, you really do miss them. Take someone who doesn't look like you out for coffee or tea and ask questions in a safe space. Stop and just breathe. Turn your cell phones off for an hour or two and listen in silence. Learn to meditate. Pray and meditate on behalf of others. Make a donation to a good cause. Sit in nature and enjoy the beauty of it. Become less afraid to die, but rather focused on the impact you can make today while you're still alive. Be mindful of self-care, then help others. When you feel like you've missed the mark or haven't been a perfect human, extend the same grace to yourself that you would towards others. Finally, if your beliefs, whether personal or religiously, keep you from fostering healthy relationships, challenge yourself to become uncomfortable with your assumptions, check your stories, and tell yourself and see what you find. My life has been completely and deeply enriched by being under the tutelage of Carlton Pearson and Marlin Lavanhar. It takes a lot of work to take care of people like them. They are a handful, but worth every bit of it. I have personally witnessed how they have both exhibited integrity, determination, leadership, and transparency in the face of change, conflict, and possibility. I would be remiss if I left out Reverends Barbara Prose, Stephen Williams, and Gerald Davis for their placement in my life, my growth, and in my family's life. This community of All Souls has become my family, not completely of our own doing, but rather by the unseen forces and facets of love that we said yes to. We have been moved by the spirit of life and love. So as we stir compassion, may our roots hold us close as we rise and move to allow justice to prevail. The conversation must continue because this is too short of a time to really explain everything that we've been through over the last decade and since I was 16. That's a few years ago. So I just want you to know that I love you. I appreciate everyone that has held me up and affirmed me, even through the tough times. I want you to know that I love you. Happy evolution to my All Souls family and to those that I have yet to encounter. Thank you.
Spirit of life, We're so happy you're visiting with us online today. We love connecting with people all across the country and around the world, sharing our powerful message of love beyond belief.
There's something new happening here. You can now join All Souls as a virtual member. Our virtual membership is designed for friends who live outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and who want to engage with All Souls in a meaningful way.
You can be part of an expanding family, a global family really, wherever you are. If you live in Oklahoma,
Ohio,
or Orange County, California,
Canada,
or Cameroon. By becoming a virtual member, you'll be able to deepen your connections with members and friends here in Tulsa and with members wherever you are.
Each week, you'll receive special All Souls content tailored for you, our virtual members. Virtual members have access to pastoral care, to personal prayers, and also receive invitations to exclusive web events.
You can learn more, and if you're ready, you can become a virtual member today by visiting allsoulschurch.org/virtual membership.
We're grateful our ministries are having a positive impact on your life, and we want to share the good news of love beyond belief with more and more people. So no matter what, we need your support to keep this ministry growing and thriving, so please consider making a gift today. You can do so by texting
Love BB for Love Beyond Belief to 73256, or simply visit our website. You are a blessing in our lives. May you be blessed.
and be a blessing.